Hello students, and welcome to another Dr. Sirme chemistry demonstration. As I told you before, chemistry is my passion and I do it with a lot of passion. Even for you students, if you make it your passion, you will pass in chemistry very well. Now for today I want to, as we do a Form 1 concept, that is under the separation of mixtures. And there are very many methods of separating mixtures. Previously, I remember we did filtration versus decantation. Today, I want to do chromatography. And chromatography, it's a method of separating colored substances. But remember, it's not a must the substance be colored, provided they have different solubility, different adsorbent ability, and different density. I'm going to use a filter paper. And a filter paper is a good material because it is, we do say it is adsorbent. That means it can allow material to stick on it. And then it is absorbent. It can also absorb. So I have a circular one. I want to make it rectangular. So the first step, I will just cut the filter paper. I'll use a scalpel and then I cut the filter paper to just make it rectangular. I just need a rectangular chromatogram. So I will cut this one and cut it. So I need a piece of filter paper. It's a very good adsorbent material. So I can even chop off a bit here and chop out this one. Remember, this is a Form 1 concept under separation of mixes. So that is what I use as my chromatogram. I need to draw a line. I need to draw a line with a pencil. The question will always be, why should I use a pencil to draw the line? Remember, the pencil is made of graphite, and graphite will not dissolve in the organic solvent that I'll be using. So that will be the baseline. And on that baseline, I'm going to, for example, I'm going to separate the ink from like a felt pen. I'm going to have a dye on the baseline, a point. I can make it a mixture. I can have this dye on its own. I can have even the other dye on its own. So I want to use chromatography and run these 3 dyes, and I see what exactly will happen. Now, that is what the chromatogram will look like, or rather the piece of adsorbent material. Now, what do I need? I need an empty beaker. Then I will have, like, this is ethanol, just an ethanol. I can put a liter of ethanol. I can decide to make a mixture of organic solvent, like this is methanol. I can also add methanol. And I can have even propanol. So I have a mixture of solvent. The question will ask you, why do we prefer a mixture of solvents? It is because a mixture of solvent will dissolve a variety of substances. The substance that will not dissolve in ethanol will dissolve in methanol. The one that will not dissolve in methanol will dissolve in propanol. So that's why we prefer a mixture of solvents. Then I need a clip, because what I need to do is to submerge. I will submerge this piece of paper not up to where the dyes are, but slightly below. So I'm going to improvise and come up with a way. Like now this one, I can use this piece of stick and a clip here. Then I will submerge. that filter paper there. I'll submerge it. Good. Then I'll give it time. After some minutes, I will come here and make some observations. Wow, thank you very much for being patient. I've also waited for some minutes, then I've come back to make the observation. Remember what I did? I placed some piece of paper with some ink somewhere at the bottom. This line that we call the baseline. Now then the filter paper absorbed. Remember what happened? The filter paper absorbed the solvent, and then through what you call capillary, it ascended. As it got to the point where I placed the chemicals or the ink or the dye, then the dyes were dissolved, and then the solvent ascended with the solvent, with the dye. So basically you can observe what has happened. And if we can consider like the first case, the dye that I placed here has separated. It has formed this blue that you see here. It has formed another color here, and finally the one that appears more red. I'm not very good in colors, but it appears more red or purple thereabout. So at least you have seen some separation. With the second one that I placed only one dye, you can see the substance was carried from here and was deposited at a given point there. Then the one that I had, maybe the other one I placed here, again it is separated, and then of course some colors were formed. So from there, what do I need to do? I can try to use what we call now the solvent extraction. If I want to extract this blue, I can just cut this and get another appropriate solvent and dissolve it in. So, and follow Form 1 concept, because basically chromatography can also be so much advanced. So for this one, the paper chromatography is basic for the Form 1s. You need to know that once you place a chemical at the bottom, you are going to see the separation of colors. And remember, this is the baseline, as I've said severally. Then the farthest point where the solvent will reach, that is called the solvent front. That is the solvent front. Maybe some 1, 2, 3 things you can learn. Any chemical that did not get out of this baseline, it was insoluble in the solvent used. The chemical that was carried the farthest, that is the most soluble substance or components of the mixture. And the opposite apply. The substance that is not carried very far from the solvent, from the baseline, that is the least soluble. Then when it comes to the adsorbent ability of this chemical to stick on the material, the chemical that is not carried the farthest, that is deposited nearer to the baseline, we say that is the most adsorbent, the most sticky substance. And the opposite also applies. When it comes to the density, again, the substance deposited nearer to the baseline, it is the denser. It has the denser particles. Good. This piece of paper together with the components that have separated, we call it a chromatogram. The process itself is called chromatography. How and where do we apply chromatography? This one can be used to, we say 4 areas. 1, you can apply this in sports. We can apply it in sports, whereby in case we want to know whether a sports person has used a certain illegal or forbidden drugs to boost their energy, we use chromatography for that. We can use it in food industry to detect whether food has the food contaminants. We can also use it in cosmetics. In cosmetics still, we use it to detect whether the chemicals we use, they have any harmful chemical in it. Still in pharmaceutical, we can use it to detect the purity of drugs. Thank you so much. Chromatography, a very examinable area you need to be so much conversant with. Do not forget to come back to see what Dr. Sirme has on this platform.